Then I started seeing it everywhere, and I just became the biggest Luka fan. It just hit me instantly. You ever get that feeling when something just hit you instantly? I'm like, this the best player in the world.
Who do you think won the trade? As of right now, currently, as it stands today, you lace them up, you go out there and play tomorrow. It's Dallas. That's a made team.
If this were Mark Cuban still owning a majority stake in the Dallas Mavericks,
that wouldn't happen.
There is no way that Luka Doncic would be out of Dallas. But because he's no longer the majority owner, and that belongs in the hands of the Adelson family, they weren't.
Say to yourself, 25-year-old superstar, they get rid of him in the middle of the night without telling his representing him something else is going on. And what I love about the internet is you hear all the conspiracy theories. So let me address one conspiracy theory that I was a part of.
The NBA trade deadline never fails to shock, but the 2025 edition might stand alone in the history books. It unfolded like a movie twist, quiet at first, then suddenly, chaos. In one stunning move, Luka Doncic was traded. For years, Doncic wasn't just the face of the Dallas Mavericks, he was the Mavericks. A generational talent with a rare blend of vision, skill, and creativity, he turned Dallas into a team you couldn't afford to miss. And then, without warning, he was gone. The reaction was instant. Players, fans, and analysts alike scrambled to understand how this could happen. Was there tension behind closed doors? A rift between Luka and the front office? Or did the Mavericks see something the rest of the world missed? Theories spread fast, but one thing was certain: the league would never look the same again. Naturally, the basketball world lit up with takes. Legends who once carried franchises weighed in, while media personalities feasted on the blockbuster. Everyone had an opinion. And that's where we come in, breaking down the shockwaves, the implications for Luka's next chapter, and how this reshapes the NBA moving forward. And who better to start with than Shaquille O'Neal? The Big Diesel, dominant on the court, unfiltered off it, didn't mince words. On a recent broadcast, Shaq tore into Dallas for blindsiding their superstar, calling out the franchise for how it handled the trade of its brightest star.
Forward with one of the greatest young players that we've seen today. I wish the business of basketball could have been handled a little better. You would think a guy that 5 years in the league, 5 first-team All-NBAs would at least get the conversation like, hey.
Shaq's point was loud and clear. This isn't just some role player we're talking about, this is Luka Doncic. A generational talent. The kind of player you build a franchise around, not someone you casually ship off like an expiring contract. And yet, according to Shaq, Luka wasn't even given a proper heads up. That's not just poor management, it's a total breakdown of trust between player and organization. But here's where Shaq's take gets interesting. Despite ripping the Mavericks for how they handled the move, he argued they might have actually come out ahead, at least in the short term. I think Dallas won the trade for the next 2 years anyway. Wait, what? How does that make sense? On paper, losing Luka is a disaster for any franchise. But Shaq believes that pairing Anthony Davis with Kyrie Irving could keep Dallas competitive right now. The real question is, can you replace Luka's impact? Can you remove one of the most dynamic offensive weapons in the NBA and somehow get better? Or is Shaq just trying to find a silver lining in a move that left the basketball world stunned? Only time will tell. Because this trade isn't just about who looks good in the next 2 seasons, it's about which franchise has positioned itself for the long haul, and that brings us to Jason Gallagher. The NBA analyst wasted no time torching the Mavericks front office. In a tweet that quickly went viral, Gallagher didn't hold back, calling the move a textbook case of a franchise trying to be too smart for its own good.
You've reached idiocracy. Do you know that term? It's where you think you've gotten so smart that you've actually kind of circled around and now you're actually, like, that's the word. It's not idiocy, it's idiocracy. You overthought this one a little bit. You did not zap.
The Mavericks front office thought they were playing 4D chess, but in reality, they just flipped the board and sent the pieces flying. Jason Gallagher's idiocracy reference was a direct shot at GM Nico Harrison, implying that in trying to be the smartest guy in the room, he may have simply outsmarted himself. And his cutting closer, you did not zag while everyone was zigging, nailed the point. Dallas believed it was making a bold, unconventional move, but instead may have delivered one of the most baffling decisions in NBA history. And let's be real, Gallagher isn't alone. From fans to analysts to former players, the overwhelming reaction to Luka's trade has been disbelief. The frustration isn't just about losing a generational superstar, it's about how poorly the Mavericks appeared to handle the process. But if you thought Gallagher's critique was sharp, just wait for the No Dunks podcast. Known for mixing brutal honesty with sharp humor, the crew wasted no time tearing into Dallas's logic, if you can even call it that. One host summed it up perfectly, cutting straight to the heart of the chaos.
Oh, people don't like Luka's conditioning and they don't like his defense. Throw that out there.
Yeah.
There's a reason that we traded him.
Yes.
There's no
Yes.
possible good reason
Yes.
to trade Luka Doncic. He could weigh 350 pounds and still be the best player.
Yes, Luka's conditioning has been a talking point. Yes, his defense has been questionable at times, but acting like those are reasons to trade away one of the most gifted offensive players of this generation, that's like selling your Ferrari because you don't like the cup holders. It almost feels like the Mavs were scrambling for any excuse to justify the move, because let's be real, no matter how they try to spin it, fans and analysts alike are left asking the same question: what was the real motivation behind this trade? And right now nobody seems to have a good answer. Kevin has always been a fiery competitor, but when it comes to analyzing the NBA he also has a knack for seeing things others might miss, and in the case of the Luka Doncic trade, Kilogram thinks there's more going on than meets the eye. In an episode of Kilogram Certified, Garnett dropped a T that had conspiracy theorists eating it up.
All these guys are Nike guys.
Boom.
People don't know Nico is an ex-Nike guy.
Right.
Code. This is Code certified right here.
Right.
Nico is a code guy. He might not even be a Nike guy. He a code guy. So whatever Code was talking about, that's what Nico was on.
Right.
The Lakers know Code. The Lakers know Nico very well. You hear me?
Very well.
Very well. So I start just connecting all the dots. Luka, Jordan guy.
Yes, Luka's conditioning has been questioned. Yes, his defense isn't always airtight. But using those flaws as justification to trade away one of the most gifted offensive players of this generation? That's like selling your Ferrari because the cup holders don't work. It almost feels like the Mavericks were scrambling for excuses, grasping at anything that could rationalize the move. But let's be honest, no matter how Dallas spins it, fans and analysts are left with the same burning question: what was the real motivation behind this trade? And right now, nobody has a satisfying answer. Enter Kevin Garnett. A fiery competitor on the court, and off it, a sharp observer who often sees angles others overlook. On his show Kilogram Certified, Garnett threw gasoline on the fire, dropping a take that conspiracy theorists couldn't resist.
25 years old, okay? He is under contract for several more years, and this summer he is already eligible for a Supermax. I find it completely unbelievable that he would not sign that contract. The Mavericks didn't think that going forward with Luka was best for their franchise.
Take a second to absorb that. Dallas didn't just trade a star past his prime, they traded a 25-year-old generational talent, already one of the best players in the league, who was positioned to sign a Supermax extension and anchor the Mavericks for the next decade. Instead of locking him down as their franchise cornerstone, they shipped him out. If that doesn't sound insane, I don't know what does. Brian's reaction captured it best. This wasn't a disgruntled superstar on an expiring deal. Luka wasn't demanding out. He wasn't holding the team hostage. The Mavericks, for reasons still unclear, decided they couldn't build a winner around him, and instead of fixing the roster, they hit the reset button. So what does that say about the front office's confidence in the team they built? What does it reveal about Luka's relationship with the organization behind closed doors? And most importantly, will Dallas regret this decision for years to come? Because right now, it feels like they just made a franchise-altering mistake. If there's one person who always has the inside scoop on blockbuster NBA moves, it's Shams Charania. The man lives for breaking news. And yet even he admitted he was blindsided. In a recent interview, Shams laid out just how shocking and secretive this deal really was.
In the shadows, this came out of nowhere. This is maybe the most stunning trade, definitely that I've been a part of in recent NBA history, as far as it was never clearly out there. And I'm told Luka Doncic, LeBron James, the players, coaches, a lot of people on both sides with the Mavericks and Lakers had no idea. I can assuredly tell you it's a fact.
Even LeBron James, one of the most connected, influential players in league history, had no clue this was happening. No leaks. No cryptic tweets. Nothing. The deal just happened. That level of secrecy is almost unheard of in today's NBA. Normally, we get weeks, sometimes months, of speculation before a blockbuster trade. Rumors leak, agents drop hints, reporters sniff out details. But this was like waking up to find the sun had suddenly turned blue. The fact that this move blindsided not just fans, but players and coaches too, shows how tightly the Mavericks and Lakers kept negotiations under wraps. Whether you view it as pure strategic genius or a front office disaster waiting to unfold, one thing is undeniable: this wasn't just another trade, it was a seismic shift that shook the NBA to its core, and just when it felt like reactions couldn't get any wilder, Kenny Beecham entered the chat. One of the most passionate and knowledgeable content creators in the basketball world, Kenny's response to the Luka trade was as raw and unfiltered as it gets. In his reaction video, he couldn't believe what he was seeing, and honestly, who could blame him?
Craziest trade in NBA history just went down. I still can't believe that it is true. I still cannot believe that this is the reality that we are living in right now, where the Dallas Mavericks have Luka goddamn Doncic, and they trade.
This isn't just a big trade, it's a franchise-altering, league-shaking, history-defining move that will be remembered for decades. Because let's be real, Luka Doncic isn't just another superstar. He's the type of player franchises dream of, a generational talent who can carry an offense on his back, make the impossible look routine, and put up video game numbers night after night. And the Mavericks traded him. Kenny Beecham's disbelief echoed what most NBA fans felt in that moment. Luka, the player Dallas was supposed to build its future around, was suddenly gone. And while Anthony Davis is undeniably elite, the risks are impossible to ignore. Ad's health has been a constant question mark, while Luka, despite occasional criticism of his conditioning or defense, has been nothing short of unstoppable since he entered the league. So now the debate begins: was this a stroke of brilliance from the Mavericks, a forward-looking gamble we just don't understand yet? Or was it one of the most catastrophic mistakes in NBA history? Because no matter how many analysts and insiders break down the numbers, there's one group that feels the impact in a way stats and contracts can't measure: the fans. And for Mavericks supporters, Luka's departure has been nothing short of devastating. One lifelong fan captured the mood perfectly in a raw, emotional post that quickly went viral.
This is crazy, man. You went to the NBA Finals. Why are we trading the best player, the franchise player? How are we trading the franchise player? You went to the NBA Finals. He's supposed to have a statue. Hell yeah. He's supposed to have a statue.
That's the level of impact Luka had on this franchise. To this fan, and countless others, he wasn't just a player. He was the player. The one meant to carry Dallas into a new championship era after Dirk. The one whose jersey kids would wear for decades. The one fans fully expected to see immortalized in bronze outside the arena someday. This wasn't just about losing a superstar. It was about losing the future. For years, Mavericks fans believed Luka was the foundation of the next great Dallas dynasty, only to watch that vision collapse in an instant. And let's be real, heartbreak like this doesn't fade overnight. Whether this trade proves to help or hurt the franchise long-term, one truth remains: the fan base may never fully forgive the front office for pulling the trigger. But then there's the other side of the story: the secrecy. How did a move of this magnitude stay under wraps for so long? That's where Carmelo Anthony comes in. Normally, NBA blockbusters come with weeks of speculation, leaks, and cryptic hints from insiders. This time, nothing. No smoke, no whispers, just shock, and for Melo, that's exactly what made it so remarkable. In a recent interview, he praised the way the deal was handled behind the scenes, calling it one of the most airtight negotiations the league has ever seen.
The way that it transpired was super dope. In context.
Okay.
You see, nobody knew, keeping this between mano y mano. If this gets out, it's over with. Like, that had to.
Melo's perspective is fascinating. While most people zeroed in on the shock of the trade itself, he pointed out just how rare it is for a deal of this magnitude to happen without even a whisper leaking out. Think about it, this is Luka Doncic we're talking about. One of the biggest stars in the game. The type of player whose name would normally send the rumor mill into a frenzy long before any deal was finalized. And yet, somehow, the Mavericks and Lakers kept this locked down until it was done. We already know Dallas didn't exactly give Luka much of a heads up. If this deal had been secretly brewing for weeks while he was still suiting up for the Mavericks, that's a tough reality to swallow. Melo sees it as trust and professionalism. But from another angle, it raises bigger questions about transparency between organizations and their franchise players. Was Luka completely blindsided? Did he have any say in where he ended up? Or was this a cold, calculated business move with zero room for emotion? Either way, one thing is undeniable: this trade wasn't just shocking, it was orchestrated with a level of secrecy we almost never see in today's NBA. And that might be one of the most fascinating elements of the entire saga. At this point, the Luka Doncic trade already checks every box of an all-time NBA shocker: franchise-altering decisions, blindsided players, furious fans, and a front office making moves nobody can quite explain. But what if there's an even bigger game being played behind the scenes? According to the Locked On Mavericks podcast, Luka's departure may not have been about basketball at all. Instead, it could be tied to a larger power play by Dallas's new ownership group, one that has less to do with winning championships and more to do with money, influence, and, of all things, gambling. In a recent episode, the hosts laid out a theory that adds an entirely new layer to this already chaotic blockbuster.
Mavericks to Las Vegas, that their goal is to just get leverage enough to legalize gambling in Texas. And this is real. We know that they want this. They have lobbyists right now going in front of the Texas legislature.
Now this is where things get wild. For those who don't know, the Adon family, the new majority owners of the Mavericks, aren't just random billionaires who love basketball. They are one of the most powerful families in the casino and gambling world, with deep roots in Las Vegas and a long-standing obsession with expanding sports betting into new markets. And according to this theory, the Luka Doncic trade wasn't about basketball at all. It was about leverage. The idea goes like this: Texas remains one of the few major states without legalized sports betting, making it one of the most lucrative untapped markets in the country. The Adons have a history of lobbying for gambling expansion wherever it's been restricted. Owning an NBA franchise, especially one with the global star power of Luka, gives them a massive bargaining chip in political negotiations. Now imagine, by pulling off a shocking blockbuster trade, the Adons stir up controversy, dominate headlines, and shift attention just as they work behind the scenes to push gambling legislation in Texas. Coincidence? Maybe. But the timing has raised eyebrows. Here's the kicker: if this theory holds any truth, what does it mean for the Mavericks' future? If basketball isn't the top priority, if Luka's departure was just part of a bigger high-stakes political play, then what does that say about where this franchise is headed? Will Dallas still be built for long-term success? Or is the team now just a pawn in a much larger business strategy? Fans have every right to be concerned. The trade was already historic, but if it really ties back to gambling, power plays, and political influence, then we may be looking at one of the most complex and controversial moves in NBA history. One that we might not fully understand for years to come. And maybe that's the most unsettling part of all.